I was fixing my microphone. My microphone wasn't.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.
What's up, everybody? I'm Fu.
And I'm Jay.
And I'm Main One, and we're Unplugged, Free Your Mind, a show where we discuss and share our perspectives on an array of topics and world news from an unfiltered, unbiased, and unplugged point of view.
So you really gonna do your spill while we looking at
yes. I tried to slow it down to kind of make y'all think I was him.
I knew it was on purpose.
What day is the show? Is today Wednesday?
Yes.
Today.
Are you for
real?
Are you just trying to be Mr. Biden?
I was trying to. I couldn't get my impression down pat for the day, so I have for next week. I'm gonna have the impression down pat.
Your favorite president.
But make sure you go get you a nice hairpiece.
Look, come on, man.
He's not wearing a hairpiece.
No, Jermaine has to get a hairpiece.
Yeah.
Oh.
Damn it.
Come on, man.
Get you a lace front, bro.
I've been doing this for years. I had your back for years. Come on, man.
Wow.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I know the show says 57, but I think we're on 60, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. But we've been thrown off track a little bit, so forgive us. So, welcome back. We're back. The crew's back. Jay's back from her hiatus. We gave her some time off to collect her thoughts and get her shit together because she was fucking it. No, I'm just.
I know we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that.
It was just me with a little hiatus, a little time off.
Yeah, it was just
okay.
You.
I'll take it. Take it. It was
we all took a hiatus. We took a 2-week hiatus and just to kind of refresh, regroup. Wasn't really a whole lot of news going on. So we just took this time to kind of just chill. So we back. So we welcome y'all in as you come in.
I'm wondering, were people hitting you up on the side? I had people hit me up on the side like, where y'all at? Where y'all been?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank y'all. I was like, oh, we're coming back. We're not. They actually. Well, I had a few people that DM me, that was asking, are we on the break? Like the summer break, and I was like, no, not yet.
Not yet. We're coming close, but not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. So again, as you come in, please, city and state roll call as you come in. How was y'all weekend? This weekend was a big weekend, for the
Mother's Day.
Let me put this out there now, for everybody, because I don't know if Kat's really noticed it. I have very important women in my life, but I do my best to kind of show them my love for them all the time. And I did not wish anybody a happy Mother's Day because I think, once again, we have to get away from celebrating these bullshit ass holidays that they give us. If you ain't celebrating your mother consistently all the time, that's a problem. That's a problem. And the reason why I'm putting it out there like that is because, and this is just a question for everybody out there watching, who benefits the most on Mother's Day?
The forest.
And the reason why I say that is because
retail.
I had to pick up some flowers for Instacart for somebody at Publix. They did not have any. Why did they not have any? Because everybody bought them from Mother's Day. So we have to get out of the commercialization of holidays and make our own. That's my whole point. We have to get to the point where it's our own. I tell the women in my life, if they great mothers, I tell them that consistently because you are.
If?
Huh?
You're saying if?
No. When mothers are good mothers and things like that, you're supposed to celebrate women like that all the time anyway, not a particular day. This country has learned how to monetize days so that they can get paid. That's the problem. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I can't. And
I can
that
smoke a
was
bag of
me. And if I hope I didn't offend anybody on Mother's Day, because usually I will put it out there on social media. I'm not doing that shit no more. I'm not doing that shit no more because once again, it does not benefit us, and it damn sure don't benefit the mothers at all. That's the way I feel about it.
I can smoke a bag of that. I ain't mad at that. I did celebrate it because it's grouped in a lot of shit with my weekend, so it's kind of like a group celebration. I go from anniversary to Mother's Day to birthday. So I don't know who made that damn lineup. Boy, that lineup is cold.
You did.
That shit
You
cold.
did that.
I know I wasn't thinking at all. That shit cold blooded. But you know, I did
I
go. I went by my mom's house.
how's
My
how's
mom,
Mom Dukes doing?
Mom Dukes is good, but I think I told. Did I tell you when I went over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you
Yeah.
yesterday, man. Fool, I went over there, and you know,
I know.
my
85,
mom,
I know. It was hot.
bruh. As soon as I
We are
walked over
not
there,
doing that with Mom Dukes. No.
immediately start sweating. I'm like, bruh. I look over. I'm like, man, what in the hell, bruh? But it's all good. It's all good. Had a good weekend.
I had
Yeah.
a
As did I.
I had a tournament.
Monday,
Was that
Tuesday,
yesterday? Tuesday. Had a
Mon-
tournament. Had a tournament
Tuesday.
yesterday, and yesterday for the first time in a very very long time, I had a golf round that couldn't get right. In other words, I couldn't do nothing right. Usually, I could take something away from it. I might have putted well, which is usually I chip well. I couldn't do shit to the point I was laughing at myself out there. And when I left and I think I was talking to Danny, I think I was talking to Wifey, and I said, wait a minute, there is one thing I could take away from it. I didn't lose a golf ball. So I didn't knock anything in the woods and anything like to lose any golf balls. And I didn't have any big numbers. So those were two positives, but those positives do not outweigh the motherfucking negatives. Oh my God. And the score wasn't even that bad. It was just the way that I played was so bad. And I was grinding as much as I could, but I couldn't get right. And it's proven to me of how much of a grind the game of golf is if you take it seriously. Like, it's not easy to stay on that level. So when you factor in somebody like Tiger Woods who stayed on that level for 10 plus years, that shit is unheard of. Even though he fucked up in between did certain things, but it's not easy. So I mean, it's not like I'm a stop. I do have a I need to go to Golf Anonymous and shit like that. I do have a goddamn problem. So I'm addicted to this shit. But I keep everybody updated on how things are going, and it's definitely going to get better before it gets worse because it's going to be a major shift. And I'm out there doing my thing. The next goal for me is I'm gonna get a fucking sponsorship. I don't know what golf, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm gonna put it out there so that somehow I get sponsored, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
all right, word. Jay, what's up? What's up with you? Tell us about your about your weekend.
That was good. It was I worked. I ended up working as always. It's a busy season, wedding season, and generally everybody is throwing parties and barbecues and this and that, and so I worked the weekend. It was really good. I had a good time.
Okay, all right. Well, shit. Let's get to talking this shit. It ain't a whole lot in the news. So it ain't giving us a whole lot of material. I mean, some of the stuff that we would talk about. We've already talked about. You got the Ukraine war going on, got inflation going on. We know that. And you know what's funny? We,
Well,
we we touched on this on the show yesterday that me and Fu were on, and it was like, is what the Democrats are doing is there. It's like if me and you on a road trip, right? and I give you the keys, you driving, and we get lost, can you blame me?
Yeah,
You can blame me. How?
Because you gave her the keys
correct.
and she don't want to blame herself. There you go.
Correct.
Oh,
That shit.
okay.
Method.
Yeah.
There's
That's what
method
I'm.
to that madness.
Yeah, that's what am I off base when I say that's what we see going on? Is like they're blaming Biden is blaming not just Biden, his whole administration, the whole left side. They're blaming, oh, it's the Republicans' fault. How? Everything that's going,
before you even go into that, please give your parting shot right now so we can start the show off like that.
talking about the parting shot from yesterday.
Yep, pimp style. Give your parting shot.
Oh, talk about
start the show. Start the show like that because I think it's the perfect prelude to how we gonna be rocking out tonight.
So my parting shot last night was I gave a reference to what a effective pimp is. So if everybody know what a pimp is and what a pimp does and what makes him effective is he convinces his hoe that she can't do nothing without him. She can't make it without him. She can't function without him. She can't take care of herself without him. And things will be so bad on the other side if she left. If she decided to leave, things will fall apart in her life. And I reckon that to the Democratic Party, the relationship that the Black community has had with the Democratic Party as being just as toxic and abusive as a relationship with a pimp and a hoe. And I'm not saying that the other side is better. I'm not saying go vote Republican and all this kind of shit like that. But we can no longer blindly be loyal to any of these corrupt parties. So that was my parting shot to the show we were on last night.
Now I don't think that too many people from our Parlos, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely correct.
Like what you just said is 1,000,000% correct, but you have people from the Democratic side that will want to slit your throat for saying that shit because they refuse to believe it. Jermaine has said it plenty of times that he compares the Republicans and Democrats to the WWE, where the out there in front of everybody they beefing, but behind the scenes, behind that motherfucking curtain, they chilling with each other, they laughing and joking, they having dinner with each other, all types of shit. But for whatever reason, the average simple-minded person, they don't see that. They don't believe that. Do I think that people go into politics, as far as national politics, like green, and they truly believe what they're saying? Yes. But how many of them actually stick up for that shit and they brush off that tap they get on their shoulder? Not too many, if any. I want to welcome my man Prolific to the show. He's a clubhouse brother, and this man right here, the information that he comes with receipts, so you can go ahead and check yourself. So tonight we're gonna have some fun. So Prolific, welcome to the show. I want to introduce you to my man Main One, and Jay will be back in a second.
Yo, what's up, Pro?
Peace. How we doing, folks? How we doing? Thanks
Sorry,
for
I
having
was
me on.
muted. How are you?
We doing good. I don't know if you heard what I just said, but you want to touch on any of that you said, anything that I just said?
I just literally dropped in.
Oh, you just jumped in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just jumped in, so I didn't hear anything. My apologies.
Okay. Oh, it's all good. I mean, well, basically, and just to segue off of what I said, and like Carlos, the one in our comments, he's 100% correct, and in saying that, and we've echoed this numerous of times that it's I've started saying this. It's only one party. It's not this two-party shit that they try to throw in your face for division. It's only one party. They all work for the same masters. And
Right.
They don't work for the American people. It is proved by the legislation and the policies that they put in place. I mean,
correct.
So yeah, I mean, go ahead, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself and speak your piece, bro.
Yeah, I'm Prolific Brew. I be on Clubhouse a lot with the brother, and Here's the interesting thing. When we follow the money, we'll see something very interesting about this whole ordeal with the finances here in America, right? Because that's how they control us, right? That's how they herd the cattle, and they keep us in sync financially. So interesting about that is, when you understand what Andrew Jackson did when he destroyed the first, the second central banking system, and he basically got rid of the filth and the evilness that transpired at that time, then we'll understand how they moved the Civil War into place, and how the acts that followed up after that, like the Act of 1867, 68, 69, so on and so on, all the way up to the Federal Reserve, you'll start to notice that it was just one massive design plan to fulfill their Federal Reserve system, their central banking system in America, because that's how they were going to control us. The implement, deploying the income tax and the Federal Reserve. It's interesting that we were in this conversation right now, because I was in 4 rooms today in Clubhouse speaking on the same thing. And what's interesting is that I don't know about you guys, but the first 2 things I think of when I hear income tax and Federal Reserve is Jekyll Island and the sinking of the Titanic ship.
Yeah.
You understand? And here in America, we're taught a certain ideology we're kind of born into through our everyday walks of life, especially our educational system, right? And it's interesting because I dropped in one room that we fell right into the same conversation. The question was, who do you see as the most influence, in the sense of between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King? And I went with Malcolm X, and they asked me why. I said, well, for one, and this is the main reason, him and Henry Ford both spoke against the ideology of the liberal man. And understanding what I was talking about, I went ahead and back channeled everybody the link to Henry Ford's book. And understanding what Henry Ford was talking about in the early 1900s, you got to understand, we're literally living through the same situation, the same outline they had early in the 1900s. The only difference, folks, is that the Bolsheviks are not in Europe. The Bolsheviks are here in America this time around. And the reason why I state that, and I speak that word highly, is because the U.S. government was speaking those words highly, starting with Trump, going down to Attorney General Barr in 2018, 2019, warning us about Antifa and other movements that were taking place. And, just the ideology that is being pushed here in America. Nobody understands it. Nobody sees it. But, yeah, man, this is a real interesting time to be alive. And, everything that's laid out in front of us, we got a big fight. But like you said, us, the people, we the people need to take a stand.
Right.
And we could rid of a lot of this.
What I've noticed is this. The information you just spit out, the information that Jermaine usually spits out. If this stuff would have been put out 10 years ago, it would have been undeniable and people would have believed it. This plan to kind of dumb people down for these past whatever years, now the same people who you would think would be on your side, they question it, they fight you. So it shows how diabolical this plan is. And I firmly believe that it all started, I'm not gonna say it started, it ended per se with social media and like the internet, because that gave them their out to say, nah, it's not true. Disinformation, misinformation. When, mind you, 10 years ago, people wasn't saying that shit. They wasn't saying that shit at all. They was not saying that shit. 10 years ago, I'm not going to say the word because I don't know how the algorithm is going to be, but the word that starts with an I and ends with an I, that ends with TI or whatever, 10, 15 years ago, it was taboo. Now, they say it openly and freely, and most people still don't believe it. Or they say, nah, that shit ain't really going to affect us. It don't matter.
Yo, and you remember a conversation we had maybe about a year or so ago? Remember I told you, no, this was around the time, it was like early 2020, mid 2020. Remember I told you the movie Demolition Man. Remember I told you about it? I was like, yo, this shit is like Demolition Man is playing out in real life like right now. And I was telling somebody at work this, and they was like, you know what? I never thought about that. And I was like, yeah, the censorship with the card. Every time they curse, the little card to sit out, they have to get a fine or something for cursing. The car driving by themselves.
The
metaverse with this is crazy how but predictive. This is how predictive programming works. So
exactly.
If you've probably seen that movie, you probably ain't thinking too much of like whatever. But I digress. I mean, a lot of people always, when we come on this show, we lay out information. I mean, I think that's our job, is to lay out information that most people or some people have not heard or may not have heard. But a lot of people say, well, what are the solutions? Y'all always saying the Democrats bad, Republicans bad. What can we do? What are the solutions? But that's the problem with this society, because we always want to jump to the finish line. We don't never want to go, because at any problem, you have to address it. Nobody's willing to acknowledge and address the corruption and the bullshit that's going on. They always just say, well, we know it's corrupt. How do we get past it? But no, you got to address the corruption and stop feeding into the corruption. I'm gonna play a video real quick. And this kind of plays off of one of the headlines that's going on now with the abortion, the Roe versus Wade bullshit that's going on. And this kind of plays off, and this lets you know how it's a whole bunch of bullshit, and they really don't give a fuck about that Roe versus Wade and abortion shit. This is Obama in 2007 speaking at Planned Parenthood, talking about the woman's health or something like that. Now watch what he said. This is before he got elected. Let me make sure the volume's up.
First thing I do as president is sign the Freedom of Choice Act.
The Freedom of Choice Act is not my highest legislative priority.
So in 2007, before he got elected, he said his first priority, the first thing he's going to do is come in and sign that bill. 2009, he gets elected, gets confirmed. That's not the highest of his priority. Here go Biden. Same thing, election time.
I would send immediately to the desk of the United States Congress when I'm elected president, if I'm elected president, a codification of Roe v. Wade amended by Casey.
Wait, has he done it yet? Because he can do it. They can do it right now. They can do it right now. They got the super majority. They can do it, but they're not going to do it because they don't care about it. They're using this as a tool to rally up because they know they're going to get their ass kicked in the midterm. That's why this shit got leaked, because they're like, okay, here's something that we can rally the troops upon. We know we can get the women behind this. We know we can get the black women behind this. And that's going to be their ploy to try to get some votes in the midterm, but it ain't going to help. But this is the shit we have to get away from. We have to address the bullshit, because everybody love Obama. They think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but Obama ain't shit. I keep telling y'all, I've been saying this shit for the last damn 6-7 years. He ain't shit. He's a used car salesman, and he done got rich off of everybody. I mean, you leave out of politics, and you done bought $11.7 million property on Martha's Vineyard, got another $1 million estate that he's building in Hawaii. Where he getting his money from?
Mm-hmm.
He getting it $500,000 speaking engagement in front of banks, Goldman Sachs, Chase Morgan, all these. Come on, they're not paying him all that money to speak for nothing. He's already done their bidding. Now he's getting the money on the back end. That's how that shit fucking ain't work. And until we get money out of politics, it's gonna be the same old wash, rinse, and repeat, whether it's Democrat or Republican.
Now I wanna let everybody know something. When I'm in in the clubhouse room or whatever with Prolific, he spits so many facts about the Ukraine-Russia shit. I was like, yo, whenever you get a chance, you gotta come on. You have to come on. So people are out here standing for Ukraine. I drove down the street the other day. It was a fucking church bus talking about donate to Ukraine. I'm not donating no motherfucking Ukraine. What about the shit that's going on around the corner? Like, fuck that shit. Let's focus on home first before we start focusing on some shit you don't know nothing about.
Yes.
So I'm saying that so I can segue to Prolific because he has the information. And if you can, kind of start from the beginning as to how all of this came about or whatever, and where people are confused at, and because of what they think and what they believe based on what they see on the motherfucking news.
Got you. Real quick, I saw there was an article that was posted up real quick that you had up there that stated that America could win a nuclear war against Russia. First of all, that's not going to happen. Back in 2000,
that article, it was actually from the it was from the Wall Street Journal, and they said the U.S. should show how it can win so basically this Wall Street Journal is saying we need to have a nuclear war with another country. But go ahead.
Right, yeah. See, now, and that's what I was getting ready getting to. They're going to start pushing that narrative that we should go into an all-out war with Russia now. America needs to go in and help Ukraine with boots on the ground, and which will lead to a nuclear war with Russia eventually. But here's the thing, though, folks. This whole situation with Ukraine and Russia, I mean, I could go back over 1,000 years with this. That's how far back it goes. All right. It's like that bickering beef between the big brother and the little brother, right? That's basically what's transpired there. And it's always been a tug of war of power between whoever was the head of Kyiv and the head of Moscow, in Russia. But what was interesting, what transpired back in the early 1900s that led up to the creation of USSR was Lenin's movement with the Bolsheviks on how they overthrew the Czar at that moment in time, and what led to the USSR being birthed on February 22nd, 1922, which is a very interesting year. And day, if you ask me, because if you know anything about 222, the whole numerology and the meaning behind it, the coming togetherness that would take place. What transpired that day and this time around, was that Putin decided to invade Ukraine on February 22nd, 2022. He deliberately did that 100 years later from when the USSR was birthed. And, here in America, mainstream media, especially in the West, they push this narrative that, Putin, he's going after the USSR, he's putting it all back together. Well, in fact, no, he's not. If you studied Putin, you'll understand he's moving to something far more greater. It's larger than what people can even fathom. He's going after uniting the North and the South to Kyiv. And what I mean by the North and South, I mean the North and South of the map, not Europe, the map. And the interesting thing about this is because he has a collective group behind him. They're known as the BRICS nations and the little nations that follow along with them. So understanding that he chose that day is because what happened back in 2013, 2014, that really led us up to this point. Now, I'm going to bounce around a little bit in history, but I want to paint this picture for you guys real quick to understand what's transpiring. 2013, there was a right sector, that's what they're called. It was basically pro-nationalist, in a sense, like Nazi movement that was pushing against the Russian government, the current president at the time, and they wanted the country for themselves. So what happened was they started going into civil war. It was a civil war conflict between the LPR, the DPR, the Donbass region, Crimea, and Western Ukraine. Now it was interesting because I broke down 4 different regions. We witnessed Putin sending Russian troops into Georgia, which was basically to combat a Mossad-installed de facto government that tried to take place, and Putin basically killed that down. He went into Crimea and annexed Crimea from Ukraine. Well, you have to understand that Crimea was given to Ukraine at one point in history, okay? So to fast forward, Putin stated he was going to do 2 things: to demilitarize Ukraine and to denazify Ukraine. Special military objectives. All right, this is not the kind of war we witnessed with America going into Iraq or Afghanistan. Okay, they're strategically attacking certain areas and going after certain areas, like those biolabs, for example, that we were told didn't exist, were never there. All of a sudden, you had the Biden administration and the State Department saying that they didn't exist, that they did exist, and then they went back to saying, oh no, they don't exist, they're not there. Which was interesting because you have Victoria Nuland, who is a state, part of the Biden administration and part of the State Department, in a sense. She was part of that whole 2014 situation. There was leaked conversations that got out from her time in 2014. Basically where she was negotiating a deal on who they were going to install as mayor of Kyiv and who was going to be the sitting president for the de facto government. And they did it. They pulled it off. They installed the de facto government. What people have to understand that the denazifying of Ukraine is the biggest, let me use my words properly here. It is the biggest fuck you to the entire NATO and Western world, right? That's basically what denazifying Ukraine is to these people, because when we come to America, right, we know of the neo-Nazis that exist here, right? As you stated earlier, they're basically, there's two parties to the same bird. They're one bird, they're one entity. They have a puppet master behind them. Mm-hmm. And understanding the Ukrainian region, and what I mean by we could go back 1,000 years or more, is we have to take this and go into the 6th to 9th centuries to understand the empire that once stood place in that region that was under Rush. It was east to the Byzantine Empire, right? And that was the Khazarian Empire. I know a lot of people were going to say, oh, that never existed. Some people even try to really bait me on this until I start going, I start bringing out articles from the United Nations itself, from the United Nations Library. That's where a lot of this information is at. So understanding that there was once a Khazarian Empire and that these people went over the Caucasus Mountains into what we know today as Poland, you start to see some real interesting things in our modern time. I would point to you, for example, the Ukrainian crest, the coat of arms, the crest. Well, that's an ancient Khazarian symbol. It's known as the Khazarian Tunga, okay? That came from Empire, Vladimir, isn't that Vladimir? I can't pronounce his last name, excuse me. But that came about after, I said somewhere in the 9th century, 10th century, in a sense. No, excuse me, before they were destroyed, that came about. Because they were destroyed in the 9th century. But what transpired is that these people never left their home, in a sense. Some of them stood behind. But the rest of them scattered around the world. They infiltrated all the sectors of governments, education systems throughout the entire world, every country, every nationality, in a sense, right? They made sure that they became one with everyone in the world, okay? And what we know them today as Zionists. Some parts of the Middle East are known as Wahhabis, because there's no difference between Zionism and Wahhabism, folks. They're one and the same. The only difference is that you have one, religious group calling themselves Wahhabis, and you have two other religious groups calling themselves Zionists. And when I mean two other groups, I mean, Christians and Jews. But that's a different topic because it's not all of them; it's some of them. Okay, that's that's the point of infiltrating this, to give themselves a disguise. So, understanding what took place in the early 1900s with World War I, World War II, the installment of the State of Israel, and so on and so on. I mean, you start to see that these folks literally had a plan, an agenda for over 1,000 years to usher out their new world order to fulfill their one world order. All right. And these people are very sinister and satanic people. Now, if you look at the crest on the Ukrainian coat of arms, it kind of looks like this. I'm pretty sure you've seen this a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that right there? That's the worship to Moloch. Okay. The Moloch deity. You know, when they go to, for example, when they shoot over to Bohemian Grove and they worship the owl, that's what they're doing. So if you go to Ukraine today, and it's not all of the Ukrainians, it's primarily the far right Ukrainians, the Nazis, the Bolsheviks that are there, Christians. Listen, these folks don't give a damn what religion you're part of. They don't care. In fact, they hate you if you're a Jew. They hate you if you're a Christian. They hate you if you're a Muslim. They hate you if you're an atheist. That's pretty confusing if you infiltrated that and you became part of that, right? So you should have some liking or want to feel obligated to push that agenda. No, those are the ones that literally ushered this worldwide satanic, what we know as the cabal, in a sense, right? Because when you come to find out what's transpiring in Ukraine, I don't know if you've been paying attention with all these oligarchs from around the world. They keep visiting Ukraine. I mean, Nancy Pelosi was just over there. Yeah. You had Trudeau's from Canada that was over there. All these people are going over there. Why? You're going in the middle of a war zone with no mask on.
Prolific. Not to cut you off, but that you raise a interesting point. So you had Nancy Pelosi going over there, and you had the Canadian dude. He went over there. How y'all over here? Y'all taking photo ops with a guy who supposedly they're trying to assassinate this guy. So y'all taking photo ops with this guy in broad daylight and stuff like that. But you play that on mainstream media, and it just goes like through people's mind. It just don't. It's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. They take it, but to people who actually watch it, like that don't make no sense. If this is a war zone. How y'all over here? How y'all even over here? Why would we have the third most powerful woman in the world, Nancy Pelosi, over here with this guy who supposed to be they attempted assassination to that shit makes absolutely no sense. But what I want to ask you is why do you think they want us to care so much about the Ukrainian war in my opinion, the Cold War never ended. That's my thing. The Cold War never ended. But why do you think they want us to care so much about the Ukraine, but they don't want but there's no mass media coverage about the 8-year war that's been going on in Yemen, that they've been helping the Saudis just tear up Yemen. They ain't talking about the war in Somalia. Why do you think it wasn't save Somalia, save Yemen, or why it's all about? So what's in your opinion? What is the reason why?
Well, for one, they don't give a damn about anybody that's melanated. That's pretty obvious. And for two, there's no money of theirs in Somalia or Yemen. All their money's in Ukraine. And by Russia going into Ukraine, that's literally chopping off the head of the snake of the New World Order. So you have to understand that region, and that's why I went back over 1,000 years in a sense, a little bit to kind of break it down. That that war with Somalia and Yemen, and the war with Ukraine, they're pushing this whole agenda to support Ukraine. Everybody needs to support Ukraine. Russia is this big tyrant nation that just wants to kill everybody on earth. Putin is just this KGB insane maniac guy that wants to just take over the world. I won't be surprised if they start calling him the damn Antichrist pretty soon. But with Yemen and Somalia, America's still bombing them today. I mean, until this point, to this very second, they're still over there causing havoc, right? But their money, these oligarchs here in America, their money's in Ukraine, literally, through the investment firms that Hunter Biden funneled their money into Ukraine through. Rosemont Seneca, for example. right? So, I mean, you got to understand that Hunter Biden and his laptop literally is a national security threat. It was a national security risk. It became a national security threat. Why? Because Biden has all of their cards. Nancy Pelosi's son, Mitt Romney's son, John Kerry's stepchild, from his wife with a woman from the Hershey family, and Hunter Biden. They're all involved with Ukraine. Why would they put their kids in high positions in Ukraine? Well, they're there to watch the money, follow the money. We all know the situations, especially with politics. These politics they hit us with. We got to follow the money. When we follow the money, their money's not going to take us to Somalia. Their money's not going to take us to Yemen. In fact, their money is going to keep taking us to the Ukraine, to Kosovo, to Poland, to all these regions around Russia, because Russia was the only nation in the UN or part of the G8, G7 that wasn't causing havoc in Africa. In fact, they were helping Africa out, right? And so many situations that America was deploying in Africa, trying to take over the minerals and the resources. Yet Russia's here giving, certain African nations technologies and equipment to kind of help defend themselves and help secure their own, natural resources in a sense. Same thing with China. People were saying, China's in there taking over Russia, certain nations in Africa. Well, no, they're helping them develop themselves. Okay, that's the point of the BRICS nations. Now, these people do not like the BRICS nations because the BRICS nations and their fair world order is the opposition to the new world order. See, a lot of people don't even know this shit, that there's something called the fair world order, and it's what the BRICS nations developed. These people, these oligarchs, especially in America, are controlled. They're controlled through the military industrial complex, they're controlled through politics, and so on, okay? But it's all about their money. Their money. They want to control the money. Why do they want to control the money? Well, it goes back to, once you control the finances, you control the people, you herd the chattel, you control every aspect of everybody's day-to-day life. For example, here in America, the 9-to-5 system. Henry Ford came up with the 9-to-5 concept to get rid of, children in the working force. There was no need to have children hard labor here in America when you could just structurally give the man a 9-to-5 schedule and he could go work his job. And you could limit the time a man goes and basically busts his ass on that line of duty, that line of work. So with these people funneling all their money to Ukraine, no one gets to see the human sex trafficking that takes place, the amount of money being funneled out of America like it is right now, right in front of our faces. Literally. The inflation that's being created here in America is being deliberately done. The way to break America down and to destroy the dollar and the petrodollar is from within. No nation on this planet is going to invade America. They know that. These Nazis know that. These Bolsheviks know that. That's why they out here running reckless, trying to get laws changed in the streets of America. Like California, New York, New Jersey, so on. And then you have states combating back like Florida, Texas, Wisconsin, with certain laws that they're pulling out there, Georgia. And, they want America to fall into a civil war. They want us to fall into a civil war so we could fall. And they could move this new world order into place. They have to destroy the American dollar. The petrodollar has to come down in order for them to usher in a new system, a new digital dollar, a new crypto, however you want to call it. They're going to do it. But what happened was Russia going into Ukraine. Russia going into Ukraine chopped the head off the snake for the New World Order, the deep state, the cabal. The center of the cabal is Ukraine. The headquarters of the deep state is Ukraine, and primarily Western Ukraine. Now, to understand that, you have to understand what took place in the early 1940s. Well, Germany went into Poland, right? They went into Poland. Why did they go into Poland? Well, there were so many deaths and murders going on. It was insane. You had Bolsheviks killing off Christians and other Jews and other groups of people. And Germany went in there to set order. Well, who's north of Poland? Russia. So who are the Russians at the time? The Bolsheviks. Now, this is interesting because both ministers from Germany and Russia got together and they split Poland up. They split Poland up, okay? Eastern Poland became Western Ukraine. And what was in Eastern Poland, folks? Nazism. So now that's how Nazis ended up in what we know as modern Ukraine, because those felt relieved and basically they were freed from the Bolsheviks. So those people decided that they were going to take on Nazism, not realizing that they were taking on the ideology that stemmed from the same ideology the Bolsheviks got their ideology from. So you had these far right sector. It's funny that they call themselves the right sectors, but these far right movements stemming up and birthing. And you had a gentleman who was in prison who basically detests all Jews. This is interesting. He detested Jews. He detested Christians, communism, socialism. He was far right, but he wasn't a capitalist. His name is Stefan Bandera. All right, with the whole Bandera movement, that's where the right sector got their ideology from. Was from Stefan Bandera, and he was a pro-Nazi. So it gets confusing because it's like, wait a minute, how are these people taking on these ideologies and these movements and not knowing where it truly stems from? Well, I point to you like this, right? When you study communism, socialism, Marxism, they all come, I mean, even Nazism, they all come and they were all birthed from Zionism at one point, okay? Now, these guys went ahead and, you know, they were basically living undercover. Nobody even knew that there was Nazis in Ukraine until Putin said something. I swear to God, nobody knew there were Nazis in Ukraine until Putin said something. And when you notice when Putin said that, mainstream media, you know, started going ham on him. Yeah, there's no Nazis in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Stop lying. No, 2014, the entire Democratic Party here in America wrote to the State Department and Justice Department to label the Azov Battalion of the Ukrainian military a terrorist cell. This came from the Democratic Party. 2014. Whoa, wait a minute.
Had it been identified prior to 2014 that there was a presence of Nazis there?
Yes,
It
that's
had
why
been
they were.
identified. And so are you
No, they
saying
knew
that
it.
are you they so but you're saying that Putin kind of put it out there and identified it and made it like a thing?
A worldwide
Because
thing,
it's
yes.
hard to believe that they would have presence there and no one would have picked up on
Well,
it.
look. Well, here's the thing: the world, like I said, they were riding low. The world didn't know.
Yeah,
Those who win the wars, right?
essentially that's what I'm asking. Like, how could they have had presence there and no one have known? Like, how could that have went unknown?
I ask you this: did you know the location of Ukraine before this war started?
Yeah,
Okay, go around asking
the
your
average
average
person.
American. They're not gonna know that. That's my
Yeah.
point. You understand? Your average person's not gonna know that. They're not gonna know.
Yo,
Yeah,
based on
I actually had a student here in 2015, an exchange student that I hosted for a few days here from Ukraine in New
Wow,
York.
that's interesting. That's interesting. What
Yeah,
part of Ukraine were they from?
that's
Do
a
you
good
know?
question. I don't remember, but I have a bunch of pictures. It was her first time in the States. We have a bunch of pictures. I got to go back and look and see exactly where. I can't tell you like right now, but yeah, she was from the Ukraine. She was born there. I think at the time her parents had moved, but I do remember her saying that she was born in Ukraine.
Yeah, it would have been a good question to find out what part.
based on what you've been saying, and I've been hearing this, and certain things that I've learned even before I heard you speak. When 45 was in office and was having these conversations with Russians and things like that, and they were talking about Putin and this, that, whatever. Now I'm under the impression it was painted like Putin was the bad guy because he was down with 45, when in actuality they was actually working together to fix exactly what's going on now that nobody is talking about because they don't understand it.
You just said it. You just said it.
Because
You
the
just
fact
said
of
it.
the matter is, we've had this conversation on numerous occasions, me and Jermaine. When 45 was put in office, he was deemed as the person to not believe. So anything he said, motherfuckers was going to go against. So if he's coming out saying this is what's happening, because he's vilified, ain't nobody going to believe it. There's nobody that's going to believe it. Now, here's the other thing. This the other crazy scenario with all of this. It was stated that there was Russia collusion to get 45 elected. Now I understand why. If it happened, now I understand why they made sure that motherfucker got elected. They made sure he got elected so shit can get done behind the scenes that nobody's talking about. That's the main thing. Because
But
I'm not a fan of 45. I would, and anybody who knows me, they know why. But I can also accept the fact that while he was in office, there were things that he did that actually benefited a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why they hate him still so much. They hated him then, and they hate him still is because he was an outsider. You talking about a political novice, but he didn't need their money. They couldn't control him. See, I mean, the 1% is all about control. They got to control their puppet. They can control Obama. They can control the Clintons. They can control Biden. They can control him. They couldn't control 45. They can control him to a certain extent, but at some point they knew they couldn't control him after this. He couldn't be elected a second. They couldn't select him a second term.
No,
And
they
I-
were losing
That's
control.
actually one of my questions. Why was the relationship so volatile prior to, but after Obama's administration? Although I want to venture and say that it was probably very volatile during Reagan's administration as well for certain reasons, but it just seems like it just went from bad to worse. And then once 45 came in, it just went to okay.
Well, the neoliberals, what they did was after Obama, they made it so they painted this, because think about it. After Obama left, cancel culture started. That's when cancel culture started creeping in. Cancel culture started coming in right after his administration. So what they did was they tried to make it like everything about Obama. Oh, they didn't like him because he was black. They didn't, they wanted him out. They try to make everything is either racial. It got something to do with gender, with these damn liberals. It has nothing to do with real legislation and policy. I mean, this should be all clear by now. So they had to make sure they had to get somebody in there that they can control. They obviously can control this sleepy nut who don't know what time of day is.
Wait a minute now.
Oh, so, hey, they saying he got
dementia with your president.
Hey,
I forgot that he don't remember his name.
Be that as it may.
They
Careful with
got
the president.
I mean, which one you talking about? Because there's multiple ones.
Exactly. That's a conversation nobody wants to have either.
Current
No.
Because the clones, you know the clones breaking down.
What?
You
know what? Seriously,
yes,
clones.
yes.
Who got time? Who have honestly, like using our tax dollar? Who really have time for that? Other than people who are definitely on the sideline, definitely finding things to say.
Hey.
Oh yeah, there's a clone.
Hey, you do know that Ancestry.com and 21andMe, all these places, you know they keep your DNA and they can use it however they want to, right?
Great for them. Never submitted my own. But what I'm saying is, who has that kind of time?
They do.
Let me ask you real quick. BlackRock and Vanguard, they have all the time in the world and all the money to do it
because they just bought it.
And you you honestly think that that's what they're doing with their
yes.
So you don't
all of these billions of dollars in circulation. Needless to say, our economy that's like very much at state with inflation and the cost of gas and food. Who's actually sitting there?
They don't care. You think they care about you? You think they care about the American people?
This is not about caring about me specifically or anyone in that regard. But what I'm saying is, who has that kind of time?
They do.
Let me do. Hey y'all, I'm sorry that I'm late.
Oh, hi Kirsten. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Right in the middle of the shenanigans.
If they can clone chickens and all other kind of stuff, you don't think they can clone a human?
First of all, let's have a logical conversation.
Okay.
Who's actually doing that?
Okay.
Huh?
Who's actually doing that?
Well, do you know that KFC has genetically modified chicken?
I honestly do believe in genetically modified chicken and food and all that.
Same thing.
But who's doing that?
It's food grown in the lab. Just like go ahead.
Can I say this? I think that the clones are not actually like clones. I think they're like different actors that are playing.
I can go for an imposter. What do you call them? Impostators and all that? Because it's
plenty they have on like these masks and like these different hands and stuff, and they have like the sound boxes. I think they're like
Beyonce has one, but seriously,
like the people who. What are they called?
The doubles, the doubles. That's their doubles.
Yeah, double. Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, like that.
Right.
That's my perception of what they are.
We live in a country where our government pays scientists to test homosexuality shit on frogs. Like this, and this is the reason why I'm making this statement is
I was about to ask the significance of that.
Because they have all the time in the world to do shit to push their agenda. So they're going to do put it like this. We live in a country where the shit you walk in a supermarket and it will say organic seedless grapes.
There's no such thing as seedless.
Today, I swear everything I love, out of Kroger, the Kroger, Chapel Hill, and Douglasville, I bought a bag of organic seedless lemons. How the fuck are they organic?
There's no. First of all, okay, so going back to the question, genetically modified. Okay, I get that. I get it. It's mass production for the mass of people or whatever. I get that, but the conversation at hand at this moment is people. We're talking about who actually not genetically modifying them in that regard and clones in that regard. But what I'm saying is, even if it was a double, why?
Because
for what reason?
Because the main thing about this country is deception. Everything in when you start talking about the United States of America, we live in an illusion. It's an illusion. So they want to give you what they want to give you. That's why this is so important. That's why this is so majorly important. If they can genetically modify, because mind you, they're going to start small. Let me genetically modify a fruit.
Again, I understand.
Now let's go ahead and genetically
Oh.
modify a motherfucking a chicken or something like that, because now it has to be something living. That does not take away from them doing the same thing with people. That's the objective. That right there is the main objective, because once again, we live in a country where these motherfuckers want to play God. It's another proven fact.
Yes.
So since they want to play, okay, once again, they're doing everything in their power to help men have fucking babies.
Yep.
Once
They
again,
will never be successful at that though. I think
Wait,
like
wait,
they are
trying to
trying.
men what? Trying to
Yeah,
men.
Ooh,
they are
I would be
doing
careful saying
okay.
that.
Okay, when we talk about, we got two of y'all on the panel right now. We have two indigenous women right now on this show, which is the largest group of the population per se of women who get hysterectomies. What are they doing with those body parts? They're experimenting by putting them into women and fucking robots.
Well, isn't that how science
putting it into men.
through?
Putting it into men and robots. Yes, this is a fucking fact.
I think that they are definitely
Not
doing
saying
it.
I'm not arguing with you. First of all, this isn't an argument. First, I want people to know. First of all, when we're sitting in here having a conversation, I'm not arguing. This is a debate. I'm trying to figure out logically why. Like, where are my tax dollars going? Is this what it's funneled into?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this the reality that I'm living in right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Your money's in Ukraine right now.
Yeah. I just seen who posted that in our chat. I think Fool, you posted it. How much are we sending at this point?
40 is now. I mean, it keeps going up. Okay, here
it was like 440 million.
Based on what I want you to think about this. Based on what you just said, there is money going to Ukraine who has absolutely nothing to do with us, and we're dealing with record inflation. Record.
Meanwhile, I was about to say, and I know you see it. I was about to say, meanwhile, common folks right here on our own soil are dealing with, a friend of mine in California sent, $5.49 for gas per gallon. I went in the grocery store for the first time myself. Not even I'll shop at places like Whole Foods. I try anyway, but I went to like a regular grocery store around this area, which is the ShopRite, and I'm saying for stuff like my greens, I was telling Jermaine this. I normally get a real, the 5-pound big gallon of like organic spinach or leafy salads or whatever. Organic stuff have always been pricey, okay? But now we're dealing with, definitely, if I just want a bag of Glory collard greens, same price as the organics, like $5 and $6. Meanwhile, we're dealing with that. Like they had, earlier today, I was looking at, they were saying that they, for the first time, hired a Black woman for the first time for the Federal Reserve to serve on that. And she is to, help that particular committee deal with, inflation and the likes or whatever. And I'm like, while we are dealing with that, you sent the article about the money we're sending to Ukraine. I'm sitting here like, really, people.
You know what? They really kill me with that. Oh, they got a Black woman on this. They got the first Black woman. Yo, this lets you know why this shit is so much bullshit, because all it does is open it up for scrutiny. When you lead off with, I'm gonna pick the first Black person to do this. I'm gonna pick the first Black woman to do this. All it does is open you up to say, are you really qualified to do it, or are you there because of your skin color, or because they're trying to paint this picture of diversity? Because diversity ain't diversity if you don't have diversity of thought. So you can put a damn Black, white, Chinese, Asian,
Correct.
or whatever. You put them all in. If they all think the same, it ain't fucking damn diversity. I'm
I'll
sorry.
go as far as to say I don't give a damn what color they are. What are we doing about this inflation? This shit is
Nothing.
happening to people
Look, I'm
now.
gonna show you what they doing. You see my avatar? Come on, man. Come on.
Think
Come on.
about it. And you're gonna do your that too.
Unemployment is at a record low. I got people out here working. We're creating jobs. We're helping Ukraine. We're trying to overthrow this dictator over here in Russia. Come on, man.
This is your impersonation?
Yeah. I told you I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
It's okay. No, I got you. I'm following
it. The shit is I mean, it's so sad that it's comical. The fact that people are willing to accept it. Like, I'm not gonna say the name of the person. I'm not gonna say the name of the person at all. But this was a post from somebody that I know on Facebook earlier. I can't say the word, but y'all know that the name, the word that start with C that everybody been falling for the past 2 years. Bailouts and or stimulus money, high gas prices, war, Roe versus Wade under attack, and no bags, explanation point. Way too much at once to restart the economy and move forward. Inflation is unacceptably high. Come on, Biden, help us out. How you going to ask for Biden to help you out when he's the one that created it? That doesn't make any sense. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever, but that shows the disconnect of what people believe.
But how did he create it? Because this is what we were headed towards.
Wait a minute.
Not record inflation.
Yes.
It's a question. It's not I'm not debating. No.
But here's the thing. Gas prices went up once as soon as he got in office. The food shortage, it was supposed to be coming, but now they're forcing the food shortages by shooting planes and shit into stuff, burning these food supply chains down and things like that. He's not addressing everything he talked about. He ain't did shit. He's done absolutely nothing. And once again, we understand that it goes both ways, but fuck the symbolism.
And we all understand that these things are picked up once new administrations get in.
Okay. So here's my greatest example of how slow Biden ain't shit. Excuse me, slow Biden and the Democrats ain't shit. People right now, the new distraction is Roe versus Wade. Mm-hmm. In order to stop that shit from even happening, the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Why not just expand the Supreme Court? They could do it just like that. I'm talking about he could do it just like that. That's a solution to the problem. They aren't doing that.
Can they do that?
Yes, they can do it.
They can.
Yes, they can do it.
But in what circumstance would it be called to expand the Supreme Court?
Because if they expand the Supreme Court, they can't do nothing with Roe versus Wade if they cared. If it was so important, he would say right now, you know what? Since the Republicans want to have so many, if they want to have so many judges and things like that to overturn Roe versus Wade, we're going to expand the court to this particular number.
Okay, no. Right, I get your feelings. I get the feelings aspect of it. I'm talking about legally.
Yes.
How can they do that?
Because he's
the judges are not elected officials; they're appointed. So he can just say, "We're going to expand, and we're going to get X amount of judges."
But if that's the case, how come Trump didn't expand it, or Clinton?
He didn't have to,
or anyone else where it would have worked in their favor for any other type of issue that came to the Supreme Court.
Because with this particular issue, this is the issue they've been sitting on. I want you to really think about this. How long have they been saying the Republicans are going to overturn Roe versus Wade? Mind you, that means that's strategic. They're telling you what they're going to do. Your defense is supposed to say, if they do that, we're going to do this. They've never done it because they don't care. They want it.
I get the feelings aspect of it. I'm talking about what are the ramifications in which an administration can actually say, I'm going to do this because right now, with my feelings, this is about to happen and we
Ain't
don't
no
want it to happen.
There is no
What
ramification.
legally, how can they do that? Constitutionally, I think I should ask. How can they do that?
He has the right to do it because he's the president. Any president can expand it. Any of them can do it. I'm just saying, in this case,
I understand the vote too. They can do it because now they with dominating in the House and the likes. I get that, but I'm just saying, just because you can do something doesn't mean always you can do something.
No, but my point, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because if they are so passionate about fighting against it, this is their ace in the hole to fight it that they aren't using. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the video, the clip that I played earlier, I mean, spells it out. Obama could have did it in 2007. He could have made it into law. He did. And 8 years, he didn't. Trump, of course, we know Trump wasn't going to do it. And Biden said his first priority was going to do it and make it into law. He didn't. You know how many executive orders he's done since he's been in the 18 night, however long he's been in? He's done like over 40 executive orders.
And another thing out there that's not really talked about is how long did they bitch about 45 winning the election, but he didn't win the popular vote? The same way when the son Bush won and didn't win the popular vote against Gore. What is the solution? Destroy the Electoral College. They have the power to do that too. They are not going to do it because the main thing is they have the power to do certain things, but they're not going to do it because they have to keep this going. They got to keep this going amongst the people so that motherfuckers can be distracted and they worried about this, they worried about that, but not worrying about the bigger issues. Because there's not enough people like us right now on this panel having these conversations. They having conversations about the bullshit.
Y'all see that? Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. I mean, she's telling you right there, hey, we don't need to be focusing on this shit. Matter of fact, as that
because if I'm not mistaken, let's start from the beginning. When it comes to Roe versus Wade, how did it end up at the Supreme Court? Was this not a state type of law that had the state, been able to have the people vote accordingly? It technically wouldn't be an issue. State laws. So okay. So here where I am, as a state law, Roe versus Wade on the Supreme Court level, they can do what federal can do whatever. State says you can still do this here. How did it come to this point where you have so many people passionate about the fact that they don't want that to pass? They want it to be an option, a woman's option on the state. How come states couldn't get this together?
Well, real quick, I just want to point out that Norma McCorvey, that's Jane Roe's actual name, Norma McCorvey, who was an immigrant, lied about the whole damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
She lied about it all. In fact, she had the child.
So
Roe versus Wade is a non-stop. It's bullshit, basically, because all knocking Roe versus Wade down, overturning Roe versus Wade, saying, okay, it's not gonna be federal no more. It's gonna be the state. So whatever the fucking damn state says you can do, you can fucking damn do it. So, but the Democrats have made it their fucking damn rallying cry because they know it'll rile up the women who are most of their base. 80 to 85% of women, black women especially, vote for Democrats.
But on a state level, how come most states vote the opposition? They're saying, no. States like Texas, I think, is one of them.
They say no to what? They say no to what?
They're saying
no to abortion.
They're saying no to abortions.
Right.
Whose vote was that on the state level, party wise?
Well, it's predominantly Republicans are technically pro-life or whatever you want to call it.
Here's my thing.
I'm very interested to know that, because why? How the hell did this end up at the Supreme on the federal level?
With two women on the panel right now, here's my thing. It's 3 men and 2 women. I don't think that it should be pro-life or pro-choice. I don't like the pro-life aspect of it. Bottom line is, it should only be pro-choice. If women decide to be quote-unquote pro-life, guess what? It's still their choice. It's y'all choice. Y'all the ones that have to decide this shit. What gets me is that people are accepting that men are making choices for y'all. If anybody should be outraged, it should be women. Women need to stand together and say, wait a minute. We should be able to do whatever the fuck we want with our body. Y'all stay out of this shit.
Well, this is the whole.
But the limitation to that is you have women that is voting opposite of
But,
that. I'm
but,
not going to sit here and say it's a man. I'm going to say it is people generally.
But I say this is the game, and this is what they want. They want division.
Right.
They want the man to be against the woman. They want the woman to be against the man. Because guess what? You fight most the women that are fighting for to keep Roe versus Wade in, or the women that saying it shouldn't be a man shouldn't have nothing to say about it. It was 7 men that voted for Roe versus Wade. So a man made the fucking damn decision. So now men, so it's all fucking damn fucking distraction and a fucking way to divide.
Hold up, man. And let's be clear. I want to know what the fuck happened. I want to know how the new Supreme Court justice voted and what she was saying,
because she don't know what a woman is.
If she don't know what a woman is,
that's a good question.
Exactly.
I would love to know.
What did Ginsburg? Anybody remembers what Ginsburg wrote on Justice Ginsburg before she passed away on Roe versus Wade? She stated that they basically tried that wrong. They viewed it wrong. They looked at it wrong, and it needs to be thrown out the Supreme Court. That came from a Democrat, from Ginsburg herself. Stated that. So it's like,
that's the whole thing. The fact of the matter is that it's time that in this country we start having grown folks conversations like this.
Exactly.
Like, seriously, throw your emotions out of it. Let's just accept the fact that it's some shit going on that people accept and they cool with, not realizing exactly what's going on. And this is something Prolific can correct me if I'm saying this right. For anybody out there pretty much saying, I stand with Ukraine, you're pretty much saying that you stand with Nazis. Am I right or wrong for saying that?
No, you're absolutely correct. Listen, if you're on Facebook, Instagram with the Ukrainian flag up there, you support Ukraine, and let's donate to Ukraine. Understand this clearly. Your money and your support is not going to the Donbass region. It is not going to the LPR, the DPR. It's not going to Crimea even. It's going strictly to the Nazis, nationalists in Western Ukraine. It's going to the de facto government. You're supporting Satanists, just like Trump fucking called them, and that shit went over everybody's head.
Now hold up. I want to be clear about something. I want people to kind of understand this. So you're pretty much saying this war with Ukraine, whatever is actually going on, Putin is fighting against the Nazis and not quote unquote Ukrainians, because if he was fighting against Ukrainians, he'd technically be fighting against Russians. Is that correct? He'd be killing his own people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
One in six Ukrainians speak Russian.
Yeah. Well, you gotta understand something. Those Ukrainian borders, the sovereign borders of Ukraine, are not in fact sovereign or Ukrainian. They're in fact Russian. So it's like Russia invading Russia. And in other words, it's like the United States government, federal military invading Texas or invading Florida. The United States invading itself. That's exactly what took place with Russia going into Ukraine. And the Nazi-fying of that region and the militarizing of that region. Give me a minute real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
I get that.
See, and like I said, these are the conversations that need to be had, because people have a perception of what's going on and they really don't understand. That's why I really wanted to have him on, so that he can break some stuff down because I didn't know a lot of stuff either.
And moreover, it's not like, you know, we are not sympathetic with what those innocent families are going through. It's not that, those people. But at the end of the day, like you were saying earlier, Fu, like we got our own problems right here on our own soil. And you know, I kind of feel like before we start to fund other people, we need to figure out our own business here. We need to fund us. I
We
mean,
live in
they're not great here at all.
we live. I want if I hurt anybody's feelings out there watching, then it is what it is.
No, I mean, but
Not
no,
no,
but I mean, come on,
not,
let's. I
not,
mean, but let's.
not about that. It's about the
But
statement I'm getting ready to make.
seriously, though,
It's
I
about the statement I'm
sympathize
getting ready
with
to make.
those families, but I've got to think about what's going on right here at this very moment where I am in my own
In
people.
But
in
they
20
don't care about that.
in 2022, how in the world can somebody get excited over the statement of we're about to elect our first? I don't give a fuck about electing something first in 2022
Smoke and
because
mirrors.
there's way more important shit going on. I don't give
I
a
mean,
damn
don't get
about
me
the
wrong.
speaker, the
It,
first black speaker of the
it could
House
be.
now, the first black Supreme Court justice. I don't give a fuck about that. If you had to wait till 2022 to do that shit, I don't care about it. Who gives a fuck?
It is a little ridiculous when you think about it, seeing as how what year we're in. But you know, it's like I see it as smoke and mirrors because that's not something that I mean. Nice that happened. Okay, let's
Symbolism.
mark that down.
Symbolism.
Finally,
It's
symbolism.
symbolism.
Okay, let's mark that one down. But now let's address real issues. Let's really address the things that day to day people, working people, are going through as we speak. I feel
They,
like that's more of a topic and an issue for me.
they damn sure, and they
I
damn sure
agree.
ain't gonna do it.
I agree.
And they aren't gonna do it because once again, you actually have people out here defending what they're doing. Motherfuckers out here hurting. Motherfuckers out here hurt.
Yeah.
Prime example. I'd rather, if I got to spend $20 at the pump, I'd rather do that than have 45 in office. What?
Check this out. But this is the mindset of like I was on
That's
Twitter.
crazy.
I'm on Twitter, and I don't know if y'all know who Robert Reich is. Robert Reich.
Robert Wright, the economist. The economist.
Right, the economist, right? So this is what now we know he's a leftist. We know he fucked with the Democratic Party. So this is what he tweets the other day. Matter of fact, it was yesterday. So the richest man in the world decides to let the worst demagogue in American history back on Twitter. So his biggest concern is Trump. See,
His biggest concern is Elon Musk has bought out Twitter and now will unlock his account. I don't nobody give a damn about that.
Fuck inflation, fuck gas price, fuck all that shit. Damn, Trump back in. Fuck,
I mean,
he back on Twitter.
I mean, okay. So their whole thing is how, you know, the nature of his tweets and how it's sent out to the masses and it's so many people and there's so many of this. I don't care about that. To me, he is the non-factor. You know, what's important is how are we going to figure out exactly this inflation issue that we're having? Elon
Trump
Musk,
was a major
he
factor.
got enough money to let anybody out of Twitter jail, Facebook jail. Who cares?
But
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kirsten. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think that the inflation is partially induced. Well, not I think it is like partially due to like the digital money, cryptocurrency, and things like that. Like there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes to where like that's changing everything, and people not really looking at that.
Yeah,
So
I can kind of see that as feeding into it. Yeah, I can.
It's changing a whole lot.
But what I'm thinking about is the fact that like the article that Fu sent earlier. How are we getting this 440? Is it million or billion? Because I don't remember.
40 billion. It's 40 billion.
Where is that money coming from? That money, where is that coming from? Don't get me wrong. I won't dispel crypto or any other type of different things and ventures that people have going on. But what I'm saying is, where's that money coming from? If not our tax dollars.
Right about now, remember, it'll never change. They can print up as much money as they
If
want.
they want to. Yeah,
And
When
that's
they
true.
mind you,
possibly
mind
when
you,
they need to.
the same people that are saying I stand with Ukraine are the same people bitching about inflation and high prices, not realizing that there's a correlation. That's what I'm saying. This shit is crazy. That's the part. That's the part. That's the
Not to
disconnect.
be insensitive, but I'm sorry. All of my little extra coins here and there will be saved so I can get gas and buy groceries. Just the basic shit.
I would
No,
say make sure you saving
Although that's not
something in
basic, but you know what I mean.
cash and not have all of
you
that
better make
thing.
sure, like we
No,
talked
no, no, no.
about,
I'm not
you
being
watch the seed.
insensitive. I'm not being insensitive, but it's definitely not. It's not high on this totem pole at
Yeah,
this
but
point. I mean, we've got to be like we've got to be sensible ourselves.
Let me break something down real quick for you. When Putin went into Ukraine, when he declared this special objective mission in Ukraine and Russia went in there, the first thing they did was start accepting Bitcoin and they started ousting the central banking members from the IMF and foreign nations. Okay? They started doing it because they knew exactly what was going to come right after. And to counter these bullshit sanctions and all this Western mayhem that they're trying to create now upon Russia and the people of Russia, what did Russia and Putin do?
What?
They did something that these oligarchs here in America hated Trump for and what he was going to do himself. And that was install the gold standard behind the currency of the central bank.
Okay.
Trump wanted to do it. They didn't want him here. Trump wanted to remove America from NATO. They didn't want him here for a reason. Those are the two main factors why they wanted Trump gone. Why Trump was the evil racist. Why he was the fucking white devil of America, of the world. Because
No, I mean,
now, hold on.
you go ahead.
HR Bill 5404 is the bill that was presented in Congress. I believe it was under the 115th Congress or 114th, one of the two, under Trump's administration, where they were just like, yo, let's put gold behind our currency. Let's fucking give our currency a life. Because if not,
Value.
it's dead.
Let's give it value.
We have to give value. We got to pump life into our fucking finance system. And the only way to do it is by putting a precious metal behind it, something solid. What was Trump's main thing coming into his presidency? Macroeconomics. The macroeconomics of America. No other president was doing this. No other president was tackling America's macroeconomics. That's why under Trump's administration, so much money kept coming back into America.
See, and that's why at the time you are absolutely right with macroeconomics. It was unheard of because a lot of administrations didn't take that route because they didn't want to be seen as not being a part of the big pie, the big picture, the NATO, you know. So you're absolutely right that he did something very much unheard of.
So what did he do? He took us out of the Paris Accord, right? What happened instantly? Billions of dollars came back into America, baby. Jobs came back into America. I haven't seen so many products that said made in the USA until Trump was president. I'm sorry. It's the God's honest truth. Okay? Now, they needed him gone. They had to keep America's currency where it was at because without that, okay, they weren't going to be able to bring in their new world order or the one world order. They weren't going to be able to destroy the American central banking system, the American dollar, the petrodollar, right? The petrodollar is what? The world's reserve currency, right? Saudi Arabia, OPEC, the oil, we know that. So with that being said, Putin knew all this was going to happen. All of it. They went from 25, they went, all these sanctions hitting Russia, right? Going into Ukraine. Russia went from 79 rubles to the US dollar. They went all the way downward to 2,500 rubles to the US dollar. That's how these sanctions and remove them off of Swift and all these central banking systems and out of this and out of that. And Nike pulling out, McDonald's pulling out, all these Fortune 500 companies remove themselves from Russia, pulling out of Russia. It hurt them, right? 2,500 to the $1 after there was a 79 to $1. Okay, checkmate. What was the checkmate? Does anybody know what was the checkmate? The gold standard in the central banking system of Russia. 5,000 rubles per gram of bullion, of gold. He installed the gold standard in Russia.
So okay, that's what I was
understand?
about to ask. Did he take the route that Trump
Oh, they're already there.
40
Yes.
was trying to take?
Yes.
Now,
And
Yes.
okay,
now, Jay, I wanna touch on this based on what he's saying and what you just said. When those conversations start to happen, that's when the fear comes in,
of course.
and this is when people start dying. So the first one was JFK. When JFK starts saying we want to shut down the Federal Reserve, gone.
Bye-bye.
Now, when you factor in Gaddafi talked about the gold standard and everything like that. That happened on Obama's watch. As soon as he said it, gone. If I'm not mistaken, Prolific can probably touch on this. I forgot the number. I've been told that 45 had the most assassination attempts ever by any president.
156.
How many?
156 attempts on his life, and not one word in mainstream media at all.
And here's the thing about that. I was told that 2 of the attempts happened on like the lawn. No, my fault. One of them happened on the lawn of the White House. Nobody. It wasn't on mainstream media at all. And I think another one happened outside the country. But see, that's the whole thing. When you start threatening what they want, that's when this shit starts to happen, because they know that certain shit is crumbling. They don't want somebody like him talking about it because he had the power, and they don't want people talking about cryptocurrency, even though I'm kind of 50-50 on it. They don't want people talking about cryptocurrency because now cryptocurrency takes the power away from them. That's why they're doing whatever they can to control it. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember the title of it or whatever, but in one of those bills, I think it was the sickness bill, they talked about cryptocurrency in that originally. The United States is going to have a crypto dollar or something like that.
Yes.
Because they know they got to fight to keep in front of that shit because they know what's coming.
The tricky thing but I want y'all to understand one very tricky and sensitive thing about crypto, like what's going on just about every other week you hear, every other day, is it is easy to get in and get out, which means for hackers and the likes, more and more institutions and businesses are being infected with ransomware because cryptocurrency is not it is not a safeguarded and secure thing here in the US. So it's easy for people to use it and infiltrate these institutions and get money and get what they're gonna get. It's hard to track them down. So it literally happens, y'all. Like now, I've worked at a place where it happens at. I work now at a place where we get clients and they're saying, "Oh, we got to come because we no longer have access to our own records, to our own data, I should say." And so crypto can be very tricky. And what the US is doing, I think, is trying to regulate it on a very minute level so it can be traceable, it can be regulated, it can be secured in a way that it can't be used, for screwing businesses and getting away with it. Because can I tell you, a lot of people get infiltrated, they're getting away with it. And some of it is right here on US soil.
Well, a lot of it is here on U.S. soil. And here's the thing. You have to remember, this is a brand new phenomenon in a sense, right? Decentralization, right? We're basically away from the central banking cartel. So
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it, right? Quote unquote. That's the beauty of it.
sort of.
Sort of. Now check this out though. When you follow the money trail and when you look at the fine black print and a lot of these crypto altcoins, let's put it like that, these altcoins, a lot of them trace back to the Rockefellers. Most of them trace back to the Rockefellers.
I don't know about
So
that.
yeah, see that's something there. That's how deep
That.
it is.
Let me write that down as a note.
Let me put my 2 cents. I'm gonna put my 2 cents in. I want to put my 2 cents in with this, which is what I said from the beginning. I don't knock anybody's hustle when it comes to cryptocurrency at all. No. I don't knock anybody's hustle. You do whatever you want. My only reservation about cryptocurrency is this: we, the people, do not control the grid. So if you have cryptocurrency and the grid goes down, how you gonna have access to your money?
You don't, and that's another thing that makes it a very risque thing. One thing about crypto and Ethereum and all of these different, virtual coins and all that, it's risque. You can be up today and down in 2 hours.
No, but see, here's the thing. Being up and down, it is what it is. You could be a quadrillionaire in crypto, but if they shut off that motherfucking grid,
it's a wrap.
You ain't got shit. So that's my thing. So and people been preaching it for a while now. One thing you can't take away, and it counts as currency: grow your own motherfucking food. If you grow your own food, you don't have to depend on XYZ. You ain't got to depend on no money. Learn to be community based. Get with your community so everybody's growing something different, so that y'all can barter with each other, and you ain't got to worry about that shit. Because if you don't, shit is gonna be fucked up regardless, straight up and down. So you gotta prepare like that.
Back in 2007.
Oh, sorry, we don't went off. I circled the airport. Sorry.
No, back in 2007, 2008. Oh man, his name just went off the top of my head. I just had his name in my. Oh my god. Aaron Russo. Excuse me. Aaron Russo sat down, had an interview with Alex Jones, of all people, right? Now I look at Alex Jones. He's an opposition just because I listened to William Cooper expose him, just like he exposed David Icke, right? But here's the thing, though. In this interview, there was something that was said that caught my attention, and was when Aaron Russo was speaking regarding the Rockefellers and how he was rubbing shoulders with Nick Rockefeller. Nick Rockefeller broke it down to him the reason why the Rockefellers funded the women's rights. Okay, the real reason why they funded women's rights. Well, the first reason was they couldn't tax the family. The woman wasn't working. Okay, they couldn't tax women because women wasn't working. And the other reason why, well, they couldn't indoctrinate the children that they wanted the way they wanted to, is because at that time a lot of children stood home with their mothers and didn't go to school. We got to get the women to work. We need the children. Okay, so understanding that,
break up the family.
You got to break up the family, right? Exactly, break up the family. So what also took place was in this interview, he said something very interesting. He said, yeah, in the future, Nick Rockefeller was breaking down to him the reason why they created the Afghanistan-Iraq wars, why 9/11 truly happened, right? Which all the shit that we're living in right now, honestly, then it goes back to 2001. It started in 2001, believe it or not. So understanding what he was saying, what Nick Rockefeller was saying to Aaron Russo, was that they were trying to and attempting to recruit Aaron Russo into the I believe was one of those counselors that are connected to the Committee of 300. Okay, and they were trying to basically bring him into the likes of the oligarchs around the world, so he could become part of this whole cabal system that they have in place. But what Nick Rockefeller basically told Aaron Russo was, listen, in 10 or 15 years from now, it's not going to matter. We're going to control them all by the finances. They're going to have digital currencies that they never knew existed. Okay, fast forward real quick. Back in 2016, I got into a massive argument with some of my boys, right? Because we were breaking down if we're going to buy XRP, if we're going to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, what we're going to put our money into, and start, it's a money grab. We've seen it, we know, we started studying it. I came across some information that was very interesting where someone broke down the money trail with XRP and Ripple, which XRP and Ripple right now is the leading crypto. Even though it's in a court litigation right now, once it breaks off this litigation, XRP is gonna fucking blow
That
up.
well, that's what I was about to say. XRP and Ripple is sort of in limbo right now because of
Right.
litigation.
The litigation. But here's the thing: why is Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, I mean, the IMF, all these people are backing XRP and Ripple for a reason.
Because they know what's
They
about to
know.
take off. Once they actually surpass the litigation of it all, please. When they win that particular lawsuit, it's a wrap.
Oh,
And you
it's a
got
wrap. It's a
people
big
you
wrap.
can't it's hard to buy it. And if you're buying it, it's sort of off the grid for now. So yeah.
See, with blockchain technology, blockchain is what they basically mine and create these cryptocurrencies, these altcoins, right? These alternative coins in a sense, right? Digitally. See, the
Mhm.
blockchain, and in order to hack blockchains, you have to possess the AI knowledge. You have to know AI machining. All right. So, a lot of hackers this day and age, especially the black hats and red hats, they already possess the knowledge with pen testing, networking, security. They already had the knowledge for AI machining. So shit, the whole spectrum. Fuck, it's a money grab. You know what? Let's start hacking these blockchains. And that's what started happening. Now, you have to keep in mind, a lot of people think that the number one hackers come from Russia. No, they don't. They come from here in America. The number one hackers in the world are in America.
Most
Number
definitely. And
number two
funded by
hackers in the
who?
world are in India. Right?
And
And then
funded
number
by
two,
who?
well, a lot of them are funded by Soros and the party, the
Government.
regime
The
that exists.
government.
Right, the
The
government
government.
itself. So I mean, look under the Trump administration. Look, let's break this down. Don't tell too many people this, but I'm gonna share it with y'all. I went to a cryptocurrency, excuse me, a cybersecurity boot camp in 2019. And what brought me there was the argument I got into with my boys in 2016. I told them, listen, this shit's leading up to the mark of the beast. And they're looking at me like I'm completely insane.
When you
I'm
say the
like,
mark of the beast, of course they're gonna look at you like that.
of course. They're like, bro, you're crazy. I'm like, it's a digital currency. All they have to do with RFID chips technology is imprint the code of your digital currency, your medical records. It's all in there. It's data, right? They thought I was crazy. Fast forward now, 2022, motherfuckers looking at me like, damn, dog, you was onto something. I was onto something because I seen what they were leading up to with it. Especially when I found out the Rockefellers were behind it. I said, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't believe dude when I said, you know what, let me go read the fine print of XRP real quick. Let me
Really?
go to this website. Listen, I went to Coinbase, I went to all the I went to Robinhood, I went to
I'm
all
on
these
Coinbase.
crypto I went to all these exchanges, to all these altcoins, and I started following the little fine black print, following, tracing it back to the money. They kept letting me back to the Rockefellers Foundation. I couldn't believe this shit. Then I went back. I said, wait a minute. I remember Aaron Russo in the Alex Jones interview talking about Nick Rockefeller. Nick Rockefeller. Holy shit! Wait a minute. So that's was like, wait a minute. Hold on, man. This is, it was a design plan to deploy. Now, all coins part of their agenda? No. And the reason why I'm saying this is because what led me going into cybersecurity studying. John McAfee brought me there. John McAfee, if anybody knows, he's probably at the biggest white hat of them all, right? He literally hacked governments from around the world with his devices, printers, laptops he was donating. He literally gathered a lot of information on these people. and they knew it. There's a reason why they wanted him dead and gone. It's the reason why he escaped America and went on a ship and he was going bouncing around island to island, country to country.
Yo,
But
Prolific, do me a favor.
go,
Let everybody know where they can follow you and everything like that, because our viewers are about getting the right information. So let everybody
okay.
know where they can follow you and reach out to you.
Oh, if you want to reach out to me, Clubhouse is prolific underscore Rue on Clubhouse, prolific underscore Rue on Instagram, prolific underscore Rue on True Social.
Are you on Facebook at all?
My personal, but I don't really use Facebook at all.
The reason why I asked you that is because we have a group on Facebook, Unplugged Free Your Mind. And
Okay.
I'll say go ahead and join it and feel free to post anything you
Please.
want in there, because like I said, our followers need to get the information. But I'm glad you was able to come on tonight, because once again, people needed to hear this, because it's
Yeah.
not it ain't just coming from me. Well, not really me. I hear certain things. Maine is the researcher or whatever. He be coming at, and I be like, damn, thanks for telling me about that shit. But just know you're welcome to come on anytime. Check out the show or whatever, and feel free to post anything you want. It doesn't really matter. Thanks for taking the time to come on. For everybody out there, we appreciate y'all jumping on, because we were able to touch on a lot of shit tonight that y'all probably wasn't even paying attention to. And I think we don't change some minds about this goddamn I support Ukraine, because now I support the Nazis that's in Ukraine. So I want y'all to just put that in your head if you really want to keep on talking about that bullshit. But we'll be back next week. We appreciate all the love and support and everything like that. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on Rumble and on YouTube. Remember, Unplugged FYM. It's not Unplugged Free Your Mind on YouTube, because we got terminated. We're still fighting to get our shit back, but I don't think they're gonna let us do it. But we close to 300 now, and we pushing hard. So once again, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week.
Night.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world